All right, Gary here from Gann, Australia. Now, we've got a special guest all the way from Germany, Christian. Christian is he is an expert. He is a gun at moisture detection, let me tell you. And hey, look at the name, gun and moisture detection. So we're going to be showing you our 3-in-1 kit. We're going to be breaking this kit down and showing you the individual components of the kit and what accessories you can add to the kit, and then what benefits the kit has. So this particular kit here has 3 meters. We have a timber meter. We have a non-invasive meter to do, like concrete and non-invasive settings where we don't have to penetrate. We have a grade hygrometer with a laser to check our surface temperatures. We have a handheld pin probe that we can got many different types of pins to have with it, our handheld pin probe. So we've got our handheld pin probe. We've got our hygrometer. We've got our dielectric ball meter. We've got our timber meter. We've got our hammer probe here. Really nice, sturdy hammer probe. You get non-insulated pins and insulated pins. And also we have our little pads here that can go on the handheld pin probe to do non-invasive, and it does, I think, down to 3 or 4 mil in the timber. But so Christian's going to run through this. So the only lead we have in this entire kit is just the one lead, and this one lead is for the actual to go to the hammer probe. All right, so Christian's going to run through this kit for you. So let's maybe start with the TF-IR 2.
Okay. TF-IR 2, yes.
Was it?
Okay, this is the TF-IR 2.
Awesome.
What you can measure with this is relative humidity, temperature, and you can also measure infrared surface temperatures, which is important if you have to access dew point, if there's mold, if you need to check whether the moisture problem is perhaps a problem of humidity and temperature, meaning that there's too much humidity in the room. The temperature might be too low. You've got critical walls, critical corners, something like that, where mold can occur or has already occurred.
People don't underestimate the surface temperature. Surface temperature is very important when you are drying. Obviously, when you can raise the surface temperature, you can obviously dry faster by raising the surface temperature. But you can also start to see where your temperature is starting to get in your materials, and you can work out your evaporation potential. So it's very important to have something that checks surface temperature.
Okay, so I'll just turn it on. You've got different modes. What you can do is, for example, you always press the arrow down button, so you will see the different modes. If you want to change a mode, you can just shortly press the measuring button.
So that's relative humidity up the top, temperature in the middle, dew point down the bottom.
Exactly. So you will. So if you just go back and take a measurement with this setting, you will have a
temperature
relative humidity of about
45. Yep.
The temperature is 20.9 degrees and a dew point of 8.7, if I'm not mistaken. So if you've got a surface or wall or whatever that's below 8.7 degrees, there might be a risk of condensation and finally mold.
Okay, that's great. That's great information.
And you will be able to check this surface temperature with this device as well. You will just have to go down one step. So press the arrow down button again, click on the measuring button, go down one step, and you will have relative humidity, infrared, which means surface temperature, and the dew point again. So you can check those two. So in that case, we will have a.
And there's a little laser coming out the top, correct? A little
little
laser. Yeah.
Yes, I can show you like this. Perhaps you can see it. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Able to see it. You can deactivate this laser, so there's no need to have it on all the time.
So it still can check the surface temperature.
Yes, that's independent of the laser. The laser is just an indicator for the point where you're measuring.
You can see on my hand here, guys, the laser to get the surface temperature. Yep.
So it just shows the actual the place where you're measuring. Of course, if you are quite far away from a wall, you can still measure surface temperatures, but the laser will not be indicating the exact point where you're measuring, because the measuring field will be wider than that.
How close should you get? How close should you get?
We always recommend as close as possible, but so you can really detect the very spots that might be too cold. But for a quick check, it will not be important if you go, say, 5 meters away or something like that. That will always work for a first overview, and then you will get go closer if you want to do further investigation.
Okay, awesome. That's fantastic. So what other settings do we have?
So just a second, I missed the button.
That's all right. So, you're doing it back to front. You're doing well. You're doing well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's the first time I've tried doing this.
Okay.
So what else have we got? Infrared. That's UGL, meaning equilibrium moisture content. This is also in the BL TF-3, which we also have. So you will get an information on. Imagine a piece of timber lying in a place where you've got stable conditions, relative humidity and temperature, and this will show you what moisture content that piece of timber will finally end up with.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
So,
the specific gravity makes a little bit of indication on that. Obviously, if it's a harder timber or a softer timber, but it's a great guide to have, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it will. I mean, softer timber, harder timber will always be a question of time. But
yes.
In the end, if you leave them long enough in the same environment, they'll all be the same.
Okay.
The harder timber will just take longer.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great information.
We've got absolute humidity. What is this? I can't hardly see.
Absolute humidity in grams per meter cubed.
Grams per meter cubes. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Dew point.
Yes, dew point. You can also indicate this. Infrared, and I think we're through with this.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it.
Pretty easy, and it turns off after 90 seconds.
Yes, it does. Or you can turn it off yourself if you want to. No problem. And once it goes on, once you turn it on again, the values that you last measured will be still visible.
So what's the go with your hygrometer can come out? So can you get different hygrometer sticks?
We've got 3 different types. The one that's used for standard is the 16K25, meaning that is that there's no filter grid or whatever, or filter foam insert. So it's just the sensor behind this metal cage, meaning that the air will flow through quite quickly. The meter will adapt quicker than with the other ones. It always depends on what you want to use these instruments for. If you want to use them in a very, very dusty environment, for example, you could use one of the other two variants because they will protect the sensor better, but they will also be slower. So you will have to wait for a longer time until the meter adapts to the current conditions.
Is one more accurate than the other?
No, the sensor's all the same, but it's just about protection and airflow.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Fantastic. Okay, let's move on to the BL B2.
Okay, BL Compact B2. This is a great non-invasive meter for measuring building materials, concrete, whatever you have. I think the main points are that on the one hand, you can use a relative scale if you don't know what you have, or if you have different building materials on top of each other. You've got a brick wall, you've got a plaster on it. You might have wallpaper or something similar to it. So you don't have just one building material, but several on top of each other. So you will be able to use a relative scale, finding out where there are differences in the moisture content. If drying has been successful all over the place, or if there are still some differences, some spots you will have to check separately. So that's the relative scale, and you also have the possibility to choose different settings for specific building materials if you need to have an information in percentage. So you have different settings.
So you've got, so the settings we have, let's run through some of the settings. So on a relative scale, you can go to an unaffected area and get a reading. And how deep do we go?
How deep?
Yeah.
That always depends on density of the material. The effective measuring depth is probably, say, 4 to 5 centimeters in very dense materials. That's the effective, as I call it, measuring depth. But you will always have to be careful, because moisture on the surface will always dominate the reading. Exactly. So if you have a wet surface, you will always get a very high reading, no matter if the rest of the material is absolutely dry.
Okay, so it's pretty easy to change the settings. So we
press
the power button again, because obviously every 90 seconds it turns off to save the battery. So we go the down arrow
you get down arrow, then you will see this 0, which is the relative scale, and then you can change it by quickly pressing the measuring button. The 0 flashes, which means you can change it now, and then you.
And we've got, I'll run through. We've got cement screed in weight percentage, hard-dried screed in weight percentage, concrete in weight percentage, cement mortar in weight percentage, lime mortar in weight percentage, mixed plaster in weight percentage, gypsum plaster in weight percentage, cement screed in CM percentage, hard-dried screed and end-dried screed in CM percentage, gypsum plaster in CM percentage, lime mortar in CM percentage, cement mortar in CM percentage, mixed plaster in CM percentage, and concrete in CM percentage. Now, if we could just talk a little bit about weight percentage. How do they measure the weight percentage?
Weight percentage means that you measure the moisture content in relation to the dry weight of the material. Meaning, if you have, say, you've got a concrete cube of weighing 1,100 kilos in total, a moisture content of 10% would mean, in that case, that you've got 100 kilos of water and 1,000 kilos of concrete. 1,000 kilos of concrete would be the dry mass of the concrete. 10% of that would be 100 kilos. So you've got, in this example, if you have a total weight of 1,100 kilos, you would have a moisture content of 10% weight percentage in relation to the dry mass, meaning the pure mass of the building material.
So how big of an area does it pick that up for the weight percentage? So if I'm using this meter on concrete, how big of an area does it pick it up?
You should always be away from corners and walls. Say, we recommend a distance of 10 centimeters.
It does about, but how far does it go outwards when it goes down? But does it go outwards to pick up that weight percentage?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I can just show you perhaps the influence. If I have it in, I've got it in the air right now. And as you can see, it reacts to my hand. So if you always have to stay clear. The same will apply further down.
Okay, so wherever that is picking it up in that area, that space, that's how it's getting its weight percentage.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, understand. So that's not an absolute moisture content, is it? So, when it's an absolute, it's the actual percentage, exact percentage of the moisture content in the material. Weight percentage is a little different.
Weight percentages, as I said, related to the dry mass of the material. So it's always in relation to the material itself, meaning that you will have to consider what material you are actually measuring. The moisture meter responds to density as well, meaning that you will have, if you use the relative scale, you get a value of, say, 50. It'll mean something different if you measure concrete or if you measure something very lightweight.
Okay. So when it checks the screed, the cement screed and yardite screed, is it not going as deep when it checks this?
This is, in fact, it's quite a little bit. It's a bit difficult to give an answer to this because it always depends on the actual I think recipe of the material, and there are several different recipes. I mean, a general rule might be that it will be able to get down about 3 to 4 centimeters with screeds.
Okay.
But it always depends on the actual conditions, so there's not really the general measuring depth that we can tell. But you will not stay at the surface. You will definitely go further down than this.
Okay. And can you let us know a little bit about what CM percentage is? So my understanding of CM is the calcium carbide test method.
It is.
So the CM is a equivalent test to that test method, where they have a big gas cylinder and they hammer and take some actual screed of concrete out, and they put it in with some calcium carbide powder, and then they get a pressurized in the system. They get a pressurized gas to get a moisture content of that material. It's you have to damage the concrete to get it. It takes a bit of time. It's a bit of mucking about. So this is trying to give you an equivalent to that test.
Exactly. So there's just a comparative value to the CM procedure. For example, you can use this before you do a CM test to see whether you're in the range that might be or in the range that the floor that you want to lay is ready to be laid, something like that. So you can just check, would a CM measurement make sense, or is it way too early and I can spare, or I can save my time and my effort and just do it later.
Now, in Germany, do they have a moisture content? They have to lay floors on timber floor on top of concrete. They have to have a certain percentage.
Yes, that depends. That really depends on the material that is applied. So there are different recommendations by associations and
wow.
Those the associations and unions.
Okay. So what other features does it have? It seems like it has an alarm.
It does, yes. You can select an alarm value, and you can do this independently of whether you use the relative scale or another scale. So you can do it for any usage. You can select your alarm value. As you said, if you go to a site where you've got an unaffected area, you can take this as a reference, set the meter to exactly this value, and then you go around, check other spots, and then the meter will give a beep if that value is exceeded. So you will not have to look at the screen all the time. The meter will tell you by giving that beep. So
okay.
I'll try to just show you. I'll have to look at it.
That's okay.
So it's just one. It's just one. One more time, you press the arrow down button.
I'm going to get a little bit closer to the
now you can see alarm on top. I don't know if you can see it, but it says alarm on top.
Yes.
It's set to 80 at the moment, so I want to change this. Now I can go down to reduce that value. So let's keep it really low.
If you hold it, it goes faster.
It goes much faster than that, yeah. Otherwise, you can do it in
one by one. Yeah.
So let's take this and just try. I'm just using my hand to show you. I hope you can hear this.
Yeah, we can hear it. Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, so that's how it works.
Very simple to use. Very hard wearing. So I like the screens, how they're a little bit, they're not flush mounted. So a little bit safer to, anyone can break that screen, but it's a little bit more flush mounted, a little bit lower than flush mounted. So just in case an accident does happen, these are pretty sturdy. What is the main problems you get back from some of these BL compact meters?
Fun?
Any problems come back to Germany about the BL compact meters? It's mainly a breakage or as far as damage is concerned? Do people break the screens very often?
No, I don't think so. They do sometimes, of course, but it always depends on how they treat the meter. We get meters that not from this series, but we get meters that are 20, 30, 40 years old that still work perfectly. They're just in for a check. On the other hand, we get new ones that really have been treated badly. So if you treat them more or less well, then they will last quite for a very long time.
Okay, awesome. And do you have software upgrades for some of them? Like if you come up with a new software, because in the bottom of the meter, some of the meters here, we've got a port to put your cable to the computer.
Yeah, with most recent versions, you can have updates, meaning that if our development department detects any bugs, any errors in the software that's on it, they will fix that. And with several meters, you will be able to connect them to a computer using a free Gann Dialog software, it's called, and then you will receive an update that will remove the error, and then the meter should be all right again.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move to the BH40, H40.
H40, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, here we are, BLH40. So like this. It's a straightforward wood moisture meter. As before, you use the arrow down button to select the setting, to change the setting. You can select the wood species. Here it's set to 4. What you can also do, you can have this by pressing the measuring button, the arrow down button once again. You can set a temperature for temperature compensation, because temperature will always influence the reading.
Now, there's a lot of meters out there that's sold without this. Now, a lot of people that go into heat drying timber floors, they don't understand sometimes when they go in to check the timber floor, and most of the meters out there that don't have this setting are set on about 20 degrees. And the temperature of the board being 30 degrees, it'll actually, example, if they go out on day 1 and say that the timber's reading 15%, and then the timber floor expert says that they read 12 in this area, this timber needs, because it's cuppiness, we need to pull 3% of moisture content out of the hardwood timber floor. And then we go out there on day 1 and we put a heat drying in there and heat the floor up to 40 degrees. We come back in a couple of days, we check the timber floor, and it now reads 12%. But the temperature of the floor is actually 40 degrees. Where if it's 30 degrees, it actually will read about 1.5% drier. If it's 40 degrees, it reads about 3% drier. So it's not 12%, it's still 15%, but they haven't adjusted the temperature. So adjusting the temperature is very important.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so we can adjust the temperature. And how many timber settings do we have? What sort of settings do we have?
We have seven groups of wood timber species. Now it has turned itself off again to spare the battery. I'm gonna put it back on, turn it back on. Okay, here we are again. Down. So we'll just go through the wood species. That's 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back. It always goes around in a circle. So you'll so we're in 7, 6, 5, 4 again.
So this doesn't have any building settings. It just has timber only.
It doesn't. It's just a straightforward wood moisture meter. I can just I can adjust the temperature, as we said. When it flashes, you can change it. So you can just select 19, 18, whatever. If you keep the button pressed, you will be a bit faster. So you can.
So then a cable very easily attaches to the actual meter, just a twist-on cable. I do like these separate cables. Simple fact is, if the first thing to go wrong on a meter, I feel, is the cable, and then they're easy to just replace and grab another one.
Yeah.
Where the ones that are fixed to the actual machine, I feel are not as sturdy as the, where you can have a cable that can get damaged over time and wear. I like it. Very strong.
Yeah, and if you're talking, what we also have with this is the hammer probe.
Yes.
As you said, as you spoke about the cable, one thing you should always consider is just hammer the probe in first and then connect the cable, because we've experienced that a lot of people do it the other way around. They connect the cable first, then they hammer the probe in, and the cable gets somewhere here, and they just slam it down, and then you'll break the cable.
Yeah.
That
also,
happens.
we call them a thing here in Australia. They're called love bites. Love bites, they're called. I don't know if you have them in Germany, but I'll just show you the love bites. What they do is when they go down, it hits their finger or something like that. It will hit their and they get this big love bite, we call them. So there's a lot of people that put up pictures on social media showing their love bites from the hammer probe.
My goodness. No, but the point is you can put one hand up here, the other one here, and then you don't have any fingers or something in the way. So
correct.
You should
correct.
Like this.
So with those pins, you've got insulated and you've got non-insulated. So when we have the insulated, we've got the blue insulated pins, or you've got green ones there. We've got blue and green.
No, they're blue as well, but the color doesn't matter. The color doesn't matter.
No. So with the green ones or the blue ones, where it's blue or green, it only picks up from the tip. It doesn't pick up where the blue or green is. So where the non-insulated pins pick up, they basically pick up all the way. Okay.
That's especially important if you've got a wet surface, because then you will always get a very high value with non-insulated ones, whereas with the insulated ones, you will get a lower value as soon as you get away from the surface. The more you hammer it into the wood, the better your value will be.
And what I've found with these handheld pin probes or even hammer probes, when you're placing the cable in here, what guys will tend to do sometimes is pull it at the cable or pull it here. What I like to do to save the cable is I just twist. I'm twisting to pull it out, and I twist and pull it out instead of once it's in, trying to yank it out.
Yeah.
That's twist and pull it out. It just makes that cable last a little longer.
It does.
Okay. Well,
absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, last but not least, resistance. These are the little pads. Let's talk about these little pads.
You can screw those onto the black small probe that you just had, exactly this one. You can remove those cap nuts, screw those measuring pads on the probe, and you will be able to measure timber from the surface non-invasively to a depth of 2, 3, or 3 millimeters.
Okay. So you just push down and then...
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic. So you just push down onto our timber.
Yes, press it really hard, and then the reading will be...
So that's great. We have some timbers over here that might be a timber veneer, and there might be a fly back. So there might be a fly backing on them, and but we want to measure the top component of it. That's a great way to do it.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So any other attachments that we can have here off this meter kit, or that's pretty much, it's a pretty good starting point for some people. This kit, I think it's a very, very good starting point. It has something for timber, something for non-invasive for your non-invasive for your walls and your non-invasive areas, and your concrete has all your concrete settings. And then you've got your hygrometer to make sure your drying is happening. So I think it's a good all-round kit for the starting or the technician.